Turn one soul ring.
Am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
Am I on point?
That's up to you. I don't know. I could tell you after maybe. But
Okay,
I
sounds good.
I really couldn't say. So Eric, have you seen? Have either of you guys seen Joker yet?
No, I have not actually. But I heard that it's the top grossing rated R movie of all time, beating out Deadpool 2.
Oh,
Wow.
shit.
That didn't last long.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I knew it made a lot of money, or it's making a lot of money.
Have you seen it?
I have seen it. Yeah, it was very good. It's
I really
kind
want to see it.
Yeah, it's kind of subdued too. Like it's not super. It's not as like violent as it was getting some guff for being very violent, but it's not really that violent. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's like just violent enough, and I like a violent movie, but this was it was good. I really liked it.
Just looking at a lot of critic reviews, this movie seems to be very diversive between people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are just like, the movie's boring. Like,
yeah, well, it's consistent though. Like it's not like it's very exciting at some points and boring at
Yeah.
other parts. It's kind of just it's just a slow burn.
Sure.
So it's not.
and sometimes I wonder, like for the New Yorker, for example, they were just like, this movie, it's bad, it's boring.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I wonder if a place like that, they're just kind of being like, it's a superhero film, so it's just not good no matter what. Like, I think that is a thought that people have.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well,
what can you do?
yeah, what are you gonna do? That's right.
What are you going to do?
Well, I think we're gonna start the show.
We can do that.
That's what we're gonna do.
That's what we
Yeah.
can do.
So, welcome everyone to another episode of Turn One Soul Ring. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Eric.
And today on the show, we have special guest Rylan here to talk about the state of the modern format, and we're also going to talk about the newly announced Pioneer. So welcome again, Rylan.
Thanks, and thanks for having me on.
Sure. Yeah, the last time Rylan was on was our Modern Horizon set review. So
That was a fun two-parter.
That's right. He's our modern man. Say that like the Arcade Fire song.
Good reference.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Glad to be here.
Awesome.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. So, before we get into the delicious magic talk we're gonna do today, I just want to shout out our October Instagram winner. So it was MTG. Well, it's _roundabout if you want to find them, and they. I have not sent the collector's booster yet in the mail, but when this episode airs, it will. They'll probably have gotten it already. And,
there we go.
They're also Canadian, so it's going to get there quick, and we don't have to worry about customs. So we appreciate that.
Perfect.
Yeah, and they're gonna let us know what they pull when they open it, so that'll be good. And yeah, we're doing our November one currently. It's Cold Snap, so. Check it out. Follow us on Instagram. Turn One Soaring the podcast.
Nice old booster pack.
That's right. And
Still crispy.
And there's two winners. So it's one booster pack each. So you essentially have two chances to win. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. All right. Well, let's get into the thick of it.
Did we want to talk about the Theros stuff at all?
Yeah. No, that's thick.
Oh, sure.
It's all thick. This is gonna be a thick episode.
Sweet.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about the we're a little late to the party on this one, but the Theros leaks.
Yeah. So first of all, I did hear I heard this story through Seth from Goldfish.
Otherwise known as
Saffron Olive.
Okay, thank you.
But apparently some guy was walking through either it was like a Walmart or a Walgreens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there was 6 booster packs just on the shelf of Theros.
Right.
And so he's like, well, I'm going to buy those. So he bought them, opened them up, took photos, and put them on the internet.
Wow, someone's getting fired for that.
Like,
Probably a few people, because to make it all the way to the shelves at Walgreens,
it's so crazy.
that is a few lines of defense that just fell through. On
What?
that one.
Yeah, I don't know who slipped up on that one, but
Yeah. And I guess like some places get some stock pretty early.
Well, they must, and they plan these sets so far ahead. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like Ikoria and Zendikar Rising are probably already printed and in boxes and ready to go.
oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of planning to get like these cards out to everybody at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and the cards look super cool. I'm glad they brought back sagas. And those ETB enchantments are really cool.
Yeah.
I like those a lot.
Yeah, the art on them is very nice too.
Yeah.
Oh, the sagas are freaking gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they always have a lot of flavor in them.
Seb McKinnon.
It's
Yeah,
like-
or
again,
Let that, like, don't ever stop that, man. Let me
Yeah.
tell you.
he's just crushing it. Also, the lands I thought were pretty interesting.
I thought they were interesting too. They're getting a lot of hate, and they're getting a lot of love. They're very divisive.
Yeah.
We did make a post on Instagram, and I said they look like the energies from Pokemon.
Yeah.
And they do, admittedly. But, you know, we're so used to getting lands with landscapes as the art on them,
Yeah,
right?
like,
That's
a
what we've always
land,
gotten.
Yeah, in Magic is a land.
Right. And
That was
these-
my first initial criticism when I first saw them.
Right.
That was me. I was one of those.
Exactly. And, you know, like, however you feel about how they look, if you're going to pimp your deck out with them, whatever, they are something that Magic has never done before.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if nothing else, I think that is, they're trying things. And,
Yeah.
you know, they're not always going to work.
Well, I also think that they're moving away from the days where it was your lands don't make mana, they tap to produce mana, or what the old Magic players will say. So
Right.
now it's just you have to, like, and they're moved away from the days where your land will make 2 mana of a color or whatever. So it's makes sense.
I also think they'll look really nice in foil.
They will. They will look really nice. The only one that I don't really like is the plains, and it looks a little. It just doesn't look like white enough to me.
Sure.
But that's a picture, right? Who knows what it's really going to look like in the cardboard.
It's very hard to tell what a Magic card is going to look like on the internet.
Of course.
Sometimes you get it in paper and you're like, wow, this looks way better than what I thought it was going to look like.
Absolutely, yeah.
The other thing I thought we should talk about is we do have one of the flagship cards from the set.
That's right. Yeah.
Elspeth.
Yeah, with that ability.
Yeah, so what about that
that's
ability?
so broke. What is it? Escape?
Yeah, so we have Escape. And then how it reads is that you... It does say on Elspeth, for example, exile 4 other cards from your graveyard, and then you return... you may cast the card from your graveyard for its mana cost. So you still have to cast it, but you can still just keep casting it from your graveyard back onto the battlefield.
Yeah, you just have to. Well, this is a tiny picture I'm looking at. Can you just read the escape, Eric?
Try.
Yeah, so Elspeth, Sun's Nemesis. Just go over the whole card, why not? 2 of anything and 2 white. We got a legendary planeswalker, Elspeth. Comes in with 5 loyalty. And so -1. Up to 2 target creatures you control each get +2/+1 until end of turn. -2, create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens. And -3, you gain 5 life. So all minus abilities on a mythic planeswalker. Reason for that is the escape ability we've been talking about. So I think that's 4 of anything and 2 white. To exile 4 other cards from your graveyard, you may cast this card from your graveyard for its escape cost.
That's really good in Commander.
Ooh, yeah.
Escape. Yeah, just longer games, more cards in your graveyard. Yeah,
This ability seems really cool.
it's really nuts.
Yeah.
On a planeswalker, being able to that kind of recursion just built into a planeswalker is so powerful. Yeah. I also really like the set symbol that they use, the little, like, the face, like the god face.
I'm into it.
And the mask. Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very flavorful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also really like these enchantments that they are basically using as instants.
Exactly,
So
yeah.
instead of having instants in the set, I think we're going to see a lot of these enchantments. So that'll be kind of cool.
Yeah, because in, like, the original Theros block, enchantments matter, right?
Yep.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. So I really hope we get Bestow. That's what I'm looking forward to, or something similar to the Bestow.
Right.
I really liked Bestow.
Yeah, that was a very
really cool.
mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got a poor man's Maze of Ith here with Labyrinth of, what is it? It's
Scophos. I believe.
Scophos. Yeah. Pay 4, remove target attacking or blocking creature from combat. Well, Maze of Ith is only attacking. So, I don't know. But it's like Mystifying Maze. We've seen cards like this before.
Yeah.
Plus, Maze of Ith doesn't produce mana, so
Yeah.
it's not a land in the traditional sense. All right. Well,
Shall we move on?
Yeah, let's move on to Pioneer.
Yeah. So, when was this announcement? October 21st.
Right.
Wizards decided to announce a new format for us.
Yeah, they did that in with the last BNR
Right.
announcement.
Yep. And so we are getting a new non-rotating format, which is called Pioneer.
Don't love the name.
Cool. I was going to ask you guys, what do you think of that name?
Yeah, so we have, formats named like Modern and Legacy and Vintage, these... Maybe it's because it's 3 syllables. I guess Commander is 3 syllables, but they all... Like, even Commander sounds like it's impactful, the name. Pioneer sounds a little... I don't know. I just don't love it, but that's what it's called. So what are you going to... How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I don't care for it either. They could have done something a little bit different, but this is what we got, so we just have to.
Lately, I don't know. Like we've had like historic on Arena.
Yeah, it's like Brawl. I don't like Brawl all that much.
Yeah,
the name of that.
Yeah, their Arena formats. I wish that they were gonna do. I wish that it was. Pioneer was taking over for Historic on Arena, and they would put some of the cards on, but we're not getting that, so we got to move past that as well.
Right, and how difficult would it be for them to put the cards on that are the Pioneer staples, right? Just to put those cards on, because we sort of have an idea of what those cards are.
Yeah, and they're not even having to go back that many sets,
and they wouldn't have to put the entire set on. They could just and they've talked about that with Historic, right, where they just put on they put in like 15 or 20 cards every so often to like just like bulk up the Historic pool of cards that you can pull from.
So I really think they should just do cards that are in Pioneer and, slowly over time just have Pioneer.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Because with their original post, if they're really planning on doing crazy powerful cards like Dark Confidant, or even that Wormcoil engine, like those cards are so powerful that they become kind of format warping.
Yeah, and I mean, I do think that with Arena, there should be the idea that eventually they're going to support the Eternal formats, right? Like Modern and Legacy and Vintage. But, like that takes time, and it would take less time if they're going back chronologically to make a format like Pioneer digitally available.
I think Pioneer is still kind of doable. Maybe Modern and even Legacy, there's just too many cards at this point. But Pioneer doesn't go too far back, I don't see.
But in terms of like the decks that are format defining,
we're
not talking about entire sets.
Yeah, we're not putting like 250 cards every single set.
No, we're probably putting a quarter of that from a set. You know what I mean? Like there aren't that many cards from each set. Like think about a set that comes out now, a new standard set. How many of those cards become Modern staples? Like the last one I can think of is, maybe Once Upon a Time or Oko, but a card like Fatal Push became a Modern staple from and that's that and Walking Ballista, that's 2 cards from a set.
Yeah, some cards take longer too to take effect in Modern, but yeah, there's at least 1 or 2 cards from. I mean, Amonkhet didn't. I don't think really had any cards that made an impact, but yeah,
Hazoret saw a splash.
That is you're right. Hazoret is a good card for Modern too, actually. Yeah, it's pretty good. But
there aren't many cards.
Yeah.
From a regular standard set that's often 250 cards.
Yeah.
So.
But anyways, off on that little tangent about Arena.
yeah. Oh boy. Other than Pioneer just being a regular Magic format, the rules are all the same. You can only play cards from Return to Ravnica forward, and the fetch lands from Khans are the only cards that are currently banned.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a good decision.
Well, they've said they're not going to reprint them, so those cards would have just skyrocketed in price.
Yeah. Oh, they would have, yeah. And then also, too, we saw this in Frontier where only having half the fetch lands, we already have this problem in Front. It's not as big of an issue, I don't think, but where the fast lands, we only have half the cycle of fast lands in Pioneer. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And those are some of the better lands for this format, I would say.
For sure, yeah.
So I could see it in the future. Like I don't see us not getting the other cycle for the fast lands.
Sure.
Those
yeah,
aren't
it's
probably
been a very
print
long.
again.
It's been a very long time since they printed the Allied
Yeah.
colors. It's been almost 10 years since they
So I
printed
could
those.
definitely see those coming around again.
Did those even get a reprint? I don't even know.
No,
if those
they've only been printed once
Yeah.
in Scars of Mirrodin.
Yeah, that's
And
why.
It was like 2011, I think.
and
that's
their
why
names
the-
are very similar. Like they're very
Darkslick Shores.
Yeah, or
Razor Verge Thicket.
they kind of encapsulate
Copperland
that
Gorge.
plane. So we need to go back there. We can't really,
Yeah.
can't really just print them in any set.
Well, I think we can go back to Mirrodin. It's been long enough.
Oh, I
We
would
keep
like- I would like to,
We keep going
but,
back to Zendikar.
What I've heard is that it
definitely can
wasn't,
go back to Ravnica.
it wasn't a very popular set, or I guess they did a lot of stuff on that plane. So people got tired of it. So it sounds like we're not going back there for a bit. But
Pretty sure people were tired of like.
Yeah, it's been 10
Zendikar.
years. I think we can go back.
It's been 10
maybe
years.
maybe we'll do a 10th year anniversary, like 2021. We're going back.
Mirrodin.
Yeah.
yeah. But no, this Pioneer format sounds very exciting. So
It does. And we've already seen over the past couple weeks certain cards become maybe not format defining, but certainly financially, these are cards that people want to pick up.
Yeah.
Certain lands, like we've seen Mana Confluence, skyrocket in price. Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, skyrocket in price. And a lot of
Oh, I forgot about Nykthos.
a lot of other cards. Yeah.
That's probably.
Which wasn't a cheap card. It was like a $10 or $12 card.
yeah.
You know, great commander card.
yeah, and there's good devotion decks. Like I'm pretty sure there's a mono green devotion deck you could play.
Definitely
And,
mono black.
Mono black as well with Gary. I believe
Gary's so good.
Gary's
Gotta
in
do
this
it,
set,
yeah.
so
We got Panharmonicon.
That's right. I saw a good goldfish deck on that.
I'm doing a Panharmonicon deck. That's one of my favorite cards. So, woo!
Yeah, like I think it's good for, like financially, this is a good format for people that don't want to spend the money that modern decks often cost in like the $1,000 to $2,000 range, sometimes more. And it's good for people that don't want to deal with the rotation of standard, where you spend $300 to $500 on a deck, and then your cards rotate, and they're they've lost the vast majority of their value, which doesn't feel good. So this is a great format for that, but I guess I'm concerned at how long that can be maintained, right? Because if Pioneer gets to the point where it costs as much to build a modern deck, why wouldn't you just play modern? You know what I mean? Besides the
Totally.
format being different.
Oh, yeah.
And the cards that are playable being different and all that other good stuff. So I think it's good financially now for people that don't want to or can't spend the money on modern, but want to play a modern type or a standard type format.
Pioneer's pretty good.
It's great. I think
Yeah.
it is great at as things stand. Who knows what they'll have to ban though?
it also helps too because there was a big boom around the time of Zendikar and a lot of these sets too. So a lot of people a lot of the big boom of new players have these cards already too. So it's easier for them to get into it instead of having to go buy expensive fetch lands and all these expensive old artifacts like Mishra's Bauble. Like Mishra's Bauble before it got reprinted was
was
something like
almost
$60.
$50.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, $50.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was very expensive.
Very expensive, and even now it's still like almost $20.
It's back up to 20, yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
What
after it's-
about that Mox Opal?
Mox Opal, I think is what 120 now or more.
It's kind of
I think
it's
it's more.
It sits around like 100. It sits around like 110, 120.
US?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that card.
Yeah. Yes, it certainly needs a reprint.
Yeah, but I can still see like Pioneer's definitely a nice format to get into right now, and what we could maybe see in the future is what we kind of saw in the past, and like things are just gonna slowly move backwards. People have been saying, modern is going to be like the new legacy, and then Pioneer will be the new modern, and kind of stuff like that. Like things slowly moving backwards.
Definitely, because like to your point, Rylan, it's sort of a lot of the formats that people play are informed by when they started playing the game. Mm-hmm. So these people that started playing the game back in 93, 94, they can afford to play Legacy and Vintage because they just have those cards. They bought them when they bought dual lands when they were $10 a piece.
Yeah,
And people that were playing 10 or 15 years ago that are now playing Modern, they got those cards when they were playing them in Limited or in Standard, right? And the great thing about Pioneer is that with Return to Ravnica, that's when they started printing to demand. So all the sets since then had a much higher print run than anything before that, which also makes Modern cards, the staple cards, a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
And then also sometimes we see like, is it Devoted Druid?
Devoted Druid, yeah, that was
The green.
Yeah, that gets you put a -1/-1 counter on it to untap it.
Yeah, because it was only printed in like one set. Once that card blew up, it's a common card that went to like $12.
It was printed in Shadowmoor, and then it was reprinted in. It was one of the Master sets.
One of the Masters.
They finally
I think it
reprinted
was
the
Ultimate
Master
Masters,
set,
maybe.
which was nice. But that again is something that we see. It's just kind of ridiculous when it gets big because of the small printing.
And I've heard people talking about how like Shadowmoor and the Lorwyn blocks to Modern, Eldritch Moon is going to be that for Pioneer because it was crammed in between a couple of sets that was like Conspiracy 2 and... No, it was Eternal Masters.
Yeah.
It came out like right around Eternal Masters, and it was a small set, and it was very under-opened. So I think a lot of cards from that set will sort of be more expensive than it seems that they should be, like a Devoted Druid.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like even Dillian Cleek before it got reprinted, right? That card was nuts.
Yeah. That was a really good set, though. I really enjoyed the Shadows of Innistrad Eldritch Moon sets. Those were a good draft environment. It was a fun standard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a good, grindy draft environment.
Elder Deep Fiend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, there was the company decks. There was the Emrakul decks. It was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, until it got banned.
Yeah. When we had some pretty good white weenie decks in our format too.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah. I still remember like that was kind of when we first got into Standard, and I played the. It was still around cons. Had the mono red burn deck with a few dragons in it. Because Thunderbreak Regent, whenever one of your dragons gets targeted, opponent takes 3 damage.
That's right.
2 of those on the board. Yeah, remove my creature. Take 6. So yeah, Pioneer is looking pretty good so far. Looking at a lot of the decks, we do have, obviously with mana, a little bit more difficult than what Modern would be to attain. There's a lot more of like 2-color decks than there are 3-color decks.
Right.
Keeping the format kind of a little... And we definitely see it being like a little bit slower, even though a lot of more powerful things happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is also good for... I don't know if it's good for newer players, but it is... That certainly is the state of the format.
Yeah.
That it is a little slower. It's like it's sort of like Standard is like Diet Pioneer because it's even a little bit slower than Pioneer.
Yeah, and we still have the shock lands, check lands, so you can still get, and the fast lands, so you can definitely get, and I think we have some pain lands too.
Yeah, Magic Origins.
Yeah.
And I don't know when they would have been, maybe in a core set. Well, yeah, you have like M15.
Sure.
They're printed there, yeah.
So it's not like it's impossible. Like you could still have like a decent mana base if you're going for more colors.
Yeah.
And we have the Fabled Passage, which can fetch lands as well.
Fabled Passage. That's an all-star
Yeah,
card.
if that card wasn't already expensive enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be... Yeah, that's probably a card to pick up now if you're...
Sometimes you're glad you pre-ordered a card.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Shooting myself for that one.
No kidding. So, yeah, and the decks here, like, they're not that expensive. Like, they look like they're about standard prices, like $300 to $600.
Yeah, so obviously 600 is getting a little higher into like modern territory.
There's a couple 800s in here.
Simic mid-range is 820 on MTG Goldfish.
Yeah. Jeez.
Well, it depends on how many Okos you want to play, I guess.
That's true, yeah. So, yeah, let's talk about some of the decks. We do have stats from a Pioneer League from Goldfish.
That's right.
So kind of the first looking here, we have a bunch of just decks that have 5-0'd. Looks like they are sorted by pilot name.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Acousti.
So lots of the multicolor decks are definitely using a lot of planeswalkers, which we'd like to talk a little bit about planeswalkers in the format right now. Being we had War of the Spark, Oak was kind of ridiculous. I feel like we don't have the best removal options right now for Planeswalkers.
What do we have? There's Murderous Rider. There's Here's Downfall. There's what's the Vraska's Contempt from Ixalan?
Yeah, and there is that. I think was it black, and it kills like multiple planeswalkers.
Oh, the
From,
Elder Spell.
Elder
And then
Spell,
you
yeah.
get to put loyalty counters on your a planeswalker you control.
But that's double black, so only like very black devoted decks are playing that card.
exactly.
That is one thing that I did notice as well too while I was looking at deck lists, that there is a lot of planeswalkers. I saw one deck list that someone was running 14 planeswalkers,
as per
and here
Super
we
Friends.
have 13 planeswalkers. So.
Oh, so many Planeswalkers. Yeah, like Esper Super Friends, 3, 6, 9, 13. That just looks like a gross deck to play against.
Teferi and Time Raveler and Narset, Parter of Veils are two very good planeswalkers.
Oh
Oh, and then Elspeth at the top end, +1, 3, 1/1 white soldiers.
Oh, yeah,
Elspeth is
I forgot that she's legal in this
so
format.
good.
That's very good.
Boy.
Yeah.
I just traded in 2 of my Elspeths.
Yeah.
26 lands. Wow. That's a bunch.
Ooh, yeah. But then also we are seeing a lot of like fun decks, and the format seems, because it's so brand new, a lot of people are like playing around with it, which is really fun to see.
It's nice to see that there's that red deck wins is still
Deck
in
wins,
the top,
you know?
the top few.
That's one of the decks that I would like to play. It's like a mono red deck. I really enjoyed it in the last standard format before it rotated.
Cool. Yeah, why don't we like 1 or 2 decks? Like, what are you guys kind of looking at right now in Pioneer? What do you think is interesting? What is a deck you would maybe build and like play?
Okay, well, I'm going to
As-
cheat because I have 3 decks that I'm thinking
That's
about.
fine.
That's
Go
all
for it.
good,
Yeah.
man.
I have the mono red deck that I'm very curious about playing. And
What
then,
what are some of the cards that would entail in the mono red that you're thinking of?
well, the Runaway Steamkin is very fun, so I would like to play Runaway Steamkin.
Love that card.
And I can't think of the name of the... Well, you get Seasoned Pyromancer, so that's a lot of fun too. So
Oh,
you can
man.
do that.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot of options. Also,
Would you throw Hazret
Goblin-
in there?
Hazret and Goblin Chain Whirler. You got
Ooh,
lots of
yeah.
options. 4 mana Chandra.
Chandra's so good. Torch of Defiance, I love that card.
Yep.
Played it in Standard when it was around.
Standard All-Star.
Yeah.
And then the next one is Green Black Delirium, which I played in Eldritch Moon Standard.
Oh yeah. Yes.
That deck was gross.
Yeah, and you get a lot of good options like Pack Rat now, the Murderous Rider.
Yeah.
And then also Smuggler's Copter, which was banned. So I'm planning on playing with some Smuggler's Copters. Walking Ballista. That's going to be a fun time.
And then I guess you're still going to have Big Mama Emrakul in there?
Oh, yeah, 1 Emrakul.
Yeah.
So
Cast it for 7.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Yep. Or maybe I'll even throw a Reanimator spell in there. You don't get the cast trigger, but reanimating
Still
at
brings it back.
13, yeah. The only downside, though, is that it still just succumbs to being a 3/3 elk. So,
Right, what did you say to me the other day about the Gatewatch and Oko?
yeah, they just need an Oko. Like, just turn Emrakul
yeah,
into a 3/3 elk.
Yeah, or turn Nicol Bolas into a 3/3 elk.
Yeah.
God-
Where's
God-
Oko been this whole
yeah.
time?
Exactly. So, yeah. And then the last one, my third deck is I want to do some kind of spirits deck. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go the Bant route, but I saw Nikachu doing a blue white version, he was very successful with it. So
Cool.
yeah, some kind of spirits deck. Spirits looks good because people are gonna still try to do fast things in this format. I think. Of
course, yeah.
Spell Queller is still gonna be very good.
All-Star.
Yeah.
And then Reflector Mage.
It's like Deputy
great
Attention.
blue-white.
Yeah, you got great options.
Totally. What about you, Eric? What are you thinking you want to play?
I have always liked artifacts and such, and so the Hardened Scales deck really interests me right now in Pioneer. That's the one I'm kind of like going for. I'm going to see if I can kind of put something together. I have about half the deck right now, still missing some pieces. But yeah, I really wanted to play Affinity or Hardened Scales. When Hardened Scales first came around in Modern, I was like, damn, I really like that deck. I wanted to play it, but like Mox Opals and stuff, kind of pricey. So this is kind of really good chance for that. Because Hardened Scales, you just get more +1/+1 counters on your creatures. So you're playing Hangerback Walkers, you're playing Walking Ballistas, and you're playing the new Stonecoil Serpent, which I really like that card.
That is a super cool card.
Reach, Trample, and Protection from Multicolored. Okay. Seems good.
Oh yeah, it doesn't die to Assassin's Trophy or Abrupt Decay.
Right?
It's very good.
Super good card, yeah. Plus the deck plays Thoughtseize, and that's one of my cards in Modern, so...
Though
I'll
it's
throw Thoughtseize in there.
XX, right? So it does just die to Fatal Push.
Yes. Stoneclaw Serpent is just X, so it just dies to Field Bush.
Oh, it's just one.
It's just X.
Oh,
If you have 8 lands, you got an 8/8 reach trample.
What if you have 9 lands?
Oh, it's a 9/9. The other deck I really want to play is I really want to throw, again, just because I played in Standard, I had a red-black Madness deck.
Oh.
And so I really want to throw that back together because it used Smuggler's Copter. So I want to play a Smuggler's Copter.
Oh, that was a very good deck.
Yeah.
And then they banned Smuggler's Copter, and it kind of
Yeah, because Smuggler's Copter is
after
too
that.
popular. But I had a really cool deck. It ran Smuggler's Copter, so I want to play that before that gets banned in this format, possibly.
I shouldn't say it sucked, but it definitely lost a lot of power after Smuggler's Copter.
Oh,
got
Smuggler's! It needed Smuggler's Copter.
It-
That's why I stopped playing it.
banned. Yeah, it definitely needed Smuggler's
Yeah,
Copter.
but because I would loot through the deck, and so I played 4 copies of Fiery Temper.
Yeah,
Is
Fiery
that the
Temper,
3?
yeah.
Yeah, and then also 3 copies of, there was a black spell. It would drain your opponent for 3, and you gain 3 life. So I had 8 copies of like a lightning bolt that I could cast for 1 mana.
Oh,
You would
right.
attack with Smuggler's Copter, loot that spell, cast it for its madness cost. You're getting card advantage. You're hitting your opponent down. It was really cool. And then Chandra's at the top end. Torch of Defiance is super good. So
Yeah, and then you could also run, is it Murderous Cut, the Delve spell? So you could run things like that in this too, because you'd be discarding a lot of things, make the Delve easier.
that's a good, yeah, nice.
that,
Thank you.
that kind of deck would be able to enable Delve really easily.
Yeah, definitely.
Ooh, I like Murder. Yeah, that's a good
very
card for
good.
that. Cool. I've been trying to think of other cards because there's also that new like Dread.
Dread Return?
No, he's like red black for a 1/1 haste. When you deal combat damage to your opponent, you put a +1/+1 counter on him, and then when he dies, you deal that much damage to a target.
I see a Dreadhorde something?
Dreadhorde Arcanist?
It's not
No.
Dreadhorde Arcanist, it's
Dreadhorde
Dreadhorde
Commander? General?
I was just playing a deck earlier today.
It's a rare from War of the Spark, that one?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
When it deals combat damage to the player, it gets a counter, and then I think you said that. But yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, I know the card you're talking about. It's Dreadhorde and then like military title.
Yeah.
Dreadhorde Butcher.
Oh, yeah, I was
There
wrong.
you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Close though.
Yeah, that card seems kind of good too. So yeah,
Fun. I didn't really think about a deck that I wanted to play, but
Sure.
just looking at this list, this
Yeah.
Boros Feather deck seems like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just because you don't really get this kind of card advantage in Boros, which is why Feather's so great.
oh yeah,
So you can play all these garbage spells like Defiant Strike, Expedite, or God's...
Okay, but God's Willing is actually very good.
Yeah, God's Willing
God's
is good.
Willing
Solid.
is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, God's
Yeah.
Willing is good. For sure.
yeah. I'm wondering what it.
Yeah, so this seems like a pretty fun deck, and I guess it is on the
I'm surprised
on
that
the cheaper
there's
side.
no. What's the spell that Death Shadow uses to get him?
Teamer Battle Rage.
Yeah, that should be legal in this format, is it not?
It is, yeah. That
Yeah,
is
I'm
strange.
surprised there's
Interesting.
no Teamer Battle Rage. That would be one of my go-tos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good in this deck.
Well, maybe Angelic Executioner should put that
Think
in the
about
deck.
it.
Yeah,
Just think about it.
Format's still young, so I mean, people are still trying stuff out. Can't
For
fault
sure.
them for that.
Dreadhorde Arcanist. Wow, I didn't
That
know
card's
it was
pretty
so
good.
expensive. It is good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is very good. All right, so is Oko also running rampant in Pioneer?
Oko is running rampant in any format that plays lands.
Got him.
So yeah, let's talk about this Oko a little bit before we get too much into Modern.
Sure.
All right, I can streamline, but yeah, Oko has been a ridiculous card that WotC has printed.
Yeah, it's everywhere, and it's I think we all expected this to happen when it wasn't banned with Feel the Dead.
Yeah,
So, and obviously it's warping a few formats, and
Standard obviously the worst.
Yeah.
The last tournament that saw postings, it was like, I'm pretty sure it was like 67% of decks was running Oko, and like over 70% of decks were green.
yeah, Hogak wasn't even that bad in Modern when it was at its.
No,
Most
not
popular.
that bad.
No, it was.
Yeah.
I think it was in the 40%.
Yeah, and I mean, I believe it is the Urza decks that are taking the most advantage of it because they get Mox Opal and they're cheating them out really early. And
Exactly.
He makes artifacts and
Yeah. Yeah, that's
And
what.
then
And he just beast withins everything basically. So
Yeah, and that's what. Well, it's better than Beast Within because the permanent doesn't go to the graveyard.
yep.
yeah, it just becomes that.
Yeah, that's what the like the last big tournament, the Star City Games Open Atlanta. Their like the top 8 was mostly Urza Oko decks.
Yeah, so it's seeing standard. I know people are playing with it in Pioneer. Pioneer's still really new, so I'm not seeing it as much, but it's rolling over from how good it is in standard into Pioneer. Yeah, Modern sees the Wurza deck. That deck was really good. It had a few drawbacks of being targeted by like certain artifacts and stuff, and now Oko's like, defense, get out of here, become an elk.
Even these Urza decks are also playing Gilded Goose to just increase their chances of getting Oko out earlier.
Yeah, why not?
I've already been Legacy. I'm seeing a lot of play in Legacy in the Delver decks.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
yeah, Delver.
Because Delver, I think, moved into green. I can't remember what spell they moved into green for recently. I don't play a ton of Legacy myself. But even in Vintage, because you get it out fast off your Moxes. So,
Yeah.
Oh, and then it shuts down everyone else's.
yeah, and they shut down other Moxes and other powerful
Just like
artifacts.
who like let's play Oko.
Yeah.
This card is nuts.
Yeah,
Also, I
it's-
do want to say for Brawl. So
As
they-
a commander.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they banned Sorcerer Spyglass, which is the answer to Oko.
Yeah.
So dumb.
And then, so now Oko's just gonna like run rampant there. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, we really need just like a 1 mana kill a Planeswalker spell. 1 mana.
Might be an emergency include in Theros Beyond Death.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of Planeswalkers so bad, though, if you do that.
Yeah, they should just ban Oko.
Like, you're creating this one spell because, like, Oko, and I guess, like, Teferi sees some play as well. But a
But,
1 mana...
But I mean, like realistically, the Planeswalker is you're still playing it, getting an effect, and then it dies on the next turn, or it dies in response. I don't think that's
Because you'd play it, activate the ability, and
Yeah.
then pass priority.
well. But that's the first opportunity your opponent gets to kill a Planeswalker is after you get to activate it. You play it, you still have like they can unless they counter it, then that's a counter spell.
Right.
But that's a different story. We're talking about removal from the battlefield. I think
Yeah.
we need a 1 mana, or I don't think that's a lot to ask. And I'm just saying like 1 mana kill a Planeswalker. I'm not saying 1 mana kill a Planeswalker or a creature.
Yeah.
That would be that would be even more OP. But I think a 1 mana instant, 1 black kill a Planeswalker instant in this environment wouldn't be unfair or unreasonable.
It wouldn't be, but now if we see, say, Oko's running rampant like it is, then we create this spell to go against him, which is in black. Now is everyone playing Oko or a black deck? Because now you need to run black to get rid of Oko from the battlefield?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there could be...
Because now we're just like...
You could have 1 mana black instant kill Planeswalker, and then like white maybe gets like a 1 mana enchantment. Or
Like
maybe
detain?
a 2 mana enchantment, some kind of detain. Yeah, exactly.
So just so we're like 100% clear on how this interaction would work. So I play an Oko,
Sure.
and so it's my main phase.
Yeah.
I activate Oko's first ability, let's say I target your Worm Coil Engineer.
Yeah.
And then you have a black mana open, and you cast Kill Oko on my Oko, which goes on the stack on top of the Planeswalker activated ability trigger. That your spell goes off, and then like the activation fizzles, right?
No.
Because that trigger goes on the stack.
Yeah.
Your spell resolves, and then the Oko trigger resolves,
Yeah.
even though Oko is no longer on the battlefield.
Totally.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's the grenade theory where if you throw a grenade at someone and they shoot you, you still threw the grenade and it's still going.
It's still going to go off. Yeah. Okay, good. No, I just wanted to be 100% clear
Yeah.
on that. I've been doing more like research into the stack and priority and how that works. So I don't have to ask you guys these kinds of questions.
It's also good for our listeners to
Of
hear
course.
this kind of like breakdown as well.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's to me the stack is what makes Magic like the best game. Like being able to interact with what your opponent does.
I totally agree.
Hearthstone and other games don't have this.
You know, they have secrets. But I'm just saying, like, that's not even in the same arena.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a joke.
I remember when I was learning Magic the first time me and Eric started interacting with each other on the stack. It was I was like, okay, I'm hooked on this game now.
Exactly. Yeah, it is it's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I just to wrap up my point though. But yeah, just playing a Planeswalker, you get into like, there's no way that you can stop unless they print some.
Well, you could stifle the ability, right?
That is
Sure.
true. But yeah, they inherently get an effect. So even if they get killed right away, that person's still up. I think that's the whole problem with Oko right now.
Exactly.
Is that if turn 1 he comes down, he's either basically beast withinning something or gaining you 3 life. And then if he sticks around for another turn, then your opponent's even farther behind.
Yeah, and it's like at this point you just need to counter him. That's your best option.
Yeah.
Also, this card right now is really ridiculous because you can get it on turn 2, you plus it, it's at 6 loyalty. Even like Fry, which is supposed to be a card to get rid of like planeswalkers and stuff, doesn't kill Oko because his loyalty is so high.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know why, and I don't know why it's all plus abilities on this planeswalker.
That's the other problem because a lot of planeswalkers, so when they do their like kill ability, right, it's always a minus because you're getting rid of a permanent, it puts the planeswalker in a weakened state where your opponent can still kill it.
Yeah.
But Oko, on the other hand, gets to plus to kill something technically.
He's also
Like,
a 3-mana planeswalker who he can +2 to immediately ultimate the next turn and still survive. Like what is this?
That's also you plus get the food next turn. Next turn you're like, I get your big creature. You have a food token. What can you do about it?
So
Well, it's a mistake. I think we can all agree on that.
it's a mistake. Yeah, we shouldn't spend too much more time complaining. Everyone is aware of how
Bad.
how frustrating.
Yeah, and
this
and
card
how
is.
format morphing this card is.
Yeah.
So do you think we are going to see this card banned though? Because I do have a little point about that. Is that Oko has kind of been their flagship.
Yeah, and the
Character.
next BNR announcement I believe is November 21st. Which is quite a ways away.
Yeah.
There's quite a few big tournaments from now until then. So I think it'll probably be banned in Standard. I don't know about the other formats.
Yeah, like I hope we do, because we have seen WotC do this before in the past, where they try and ban other cards out from the deck that makes that deck good to keep those powerful cards.
Like the Hogak debacle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so. Do you think we may see them try and do something like that, or are they going to actually go for Oko, which the internet has been resounding complaining? Pro players have been tweeting and stuff about just this card needs to be gone.
Yeah, like what are they going to ban? Gilded Goose?
Yeah, like
Mox Opal for Modern, anyways. But these Urza Oko decks, they're running Gilded Goose and Mox Opal.
oh yeah,
So, yeah, I don't know if they're going to do that or just get rid of the problem immediately, like they should have done with Hogak.
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. It doesn't sound like they're going to do anything anytime soon.
No, I don't think they're going to do another like emergency BNR announcement.
And I think we still have one more Mythic Championship.
I believe there's
before the
one
BNR?
more Mythic Championship yet. I think it's in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
It'll be interesting to see the overall decks and then also the turnout, because I think also people aren't really wanting to play right now.
Yeah, it's next weekend. Mythic Championship, Richmond.
Okay.
Oh, it's that soon.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah.
Standard and then Eldraine Booster Draft, November 8 to 10 next week.
Next week. So, yeah, I guess we'll see what happens from that.
Yeah, and then like this weekend was Magic Fest Lion and Nagoya, so we'll see the results from that pretty soon because that's going on right now. And by the time this comes out,
We'll know what the results are.
that we'll know what the results are in this Mythic Championship. Will have come and gone. So let's move on to Modern, guys.
Let's talk about Modern.
Yeah, that's why everyone's here.
Yeah. So to start off our Modern talk, I would like to start off with kind of around, I think this was around when Rylan and I started playing, and then we can talk about some decks that we like to play as well. I think you guys may have heard what me and Kevin do play, but we're still going to refresh you.
Yeah, if this is your first time listening to the show.
So the interesting part about Modern, I would have to say, would be how much faster the format is and the more powerful things that you can do with the decks. It was really fun to see these decks like play out and stuff. I do remember, I think when we first started playing Rylan, you were playing the Eldrazi deck when Ayavugan was
Still legal?
Still legal.
I jumped on that deck. I was very naive. I jumped on that deck probably like a month before the Ayahuasca got banned.
Oh, was it that close?
Yeah, I took a hit on that, but I was so new to the format. But then I moved into Banned Eldrazi, which was also a fun deck to play.
Yeah. And I was still just doing
I remember you were the one.
proxy cards.
Yeah.
And I was really into Tron at the time.
And you were into. I remember you were into dragons right at the beginning, and I remember you even took your dragon deck to a modern tournament. And
That is true.
You were the first one of us to brave a real modern tournament.
Yeah, I had a Gruul dragon deck that I built. It wasn't super bad. It could do some stuff, but against getting like my first round, the guy played an ancestral recall turn 1. Then
Ancestral Vision.
Ancestral Visions. Sorry, thank you. And then turn 2 played another one. So it's just like turn 5 and 6. He was just like full hand again, playing Tarmogoyfs and stuff. And I was like, I
guess
what?
I'll die.
Yeah, like what?
That's right. I believe Ancestral Vision, or
Yeah, Vision.
I believe that was just unbanned like a week or two before you
Yeah.
played that tournament. So that was like the new hotness.
Was playing that card. Yeah.
Turned out to not be as good as everyone thought. Still a powerful card, but
Not
it doesn't make a huge impact.
No.
Which is interesting. Just a little side note is like when they unban some of these cards that have been banned in Modern, they don't actually make this big wave that they.
Oh yeah, because they unban them into a meta that they're no longer overpowered in, like we saw with Jace the Mind Sculptor, and then very recently Stoneforge Mystic.
Totally. With some of the decks, just to name off, we do have Mardu Pyromancer, which had its time in the day. So playing white, black, red, and you're just playing a lot of little spells, and you got like Young Pyromancer to make a bunch of tokens.
Yeah.
Blue white control's always been a deck. Or you're just playing blue white, counter spells, drawing cards, cryptic command, and then what was the before Grixis Death Shadow was a deck? There was a Zoo Shadow.
Yeah, there was a Zoo Shadow, but I don't believe Shadow was quite as big. It was
Very under the radar at that time.
yeah, it was the Grixis Death Shadow was the first real prominent one. Was the one that had Cataxium Probe in it,
Yes, right.
and it was a very all-in deck.
Those were the days,
Ooh,
huh?
yeah.
It was very all-in where you had Cataxium Probes, so you knew when to go for it, go for the kill.
Right.
Yeah, because you can see what's in your opponent's hand. You're hurting yourself down. Got a bunch of creatures just to swing in and attack. So
Yeah. And the very surprising thing about that deck was they banned Cataxium Probe, and the deck actually became better. It became a more mid-range deck, and ultimately, I think that deck became better after that banning.
Yeah. On that note,
less narrow for sure.
yeah, all of us do like to play some Modern here. And Kevin, what was the deck that got you into playing Modern? When did you start too?
I had a precarious start in Modern. I tried like a few different things. I played this like Dimir Turbo Mill deck for a little while, which was not good. It was like Heartless Summonings and Mere Retriever.
Cool.
So you'd be able to cast the Mirror Retriever for free, but then it would die, and then if you had another one in your graveyard, you could bring it back, the other one back to your hand, and then you had Altar of the Brood on the field, so you could just mill your opponent out every time you played a permanent. That was the deck I played for a while. Not great, but it had, like Surgical and all those good like sideboard tech cards to just deal with whatever people are playing.
That's cool.
That was okay. I played Soul Sisters for a while. That was a fun deck.
That's a good deck.
That's a good deck. Yeah. A lot of great sideboard cards like Stony Silence and Leyline of Sanctity, which was way more expensive when I bought it than it is now.
It happens.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And then I sort of got really in Commander for a couple of years, and I didn't play a ton of Modern, and I got back into it maybe about a year ago, and just decided to build Tron because I I play Hearthstone and I really like to play Big Priest. So say what you will about that, but so I just like big. I just like playing big stuff.
Oh yeah,
like ahead of curve because it just feels really. It kind of feels like you're cheating. Which is probably why people don't like playing against Tron, but we could do a whole episode about decks we don't like to play against.
Oh yeah.
So I play Mono Green Tron. It sort of changed with the release of War of the Spark, so now it's got Karn the Great Creator in it, and the sideboard is pretty much a part of your hand at all times, which is nice.
I love that toolbox kind of build.
Exactly.
It's really fun.
Yeah, and
It's a very fair deck.
yeah, well, and it's just it's a really reliable deck. Like you can mulligan to 5 or 4 and still do pretty well.
Yep, it's very good at mulligan at
just evening things out, and
It mulligans very well.
yeah,
There we go.
and like and you know, like what I like about decks that maybe seem unfair to play against is that, well, when a deck feels unfair to play against, I prefer to play a deck that is faster, so my opponent is dissatisfied with me for the least amount of time. It's not
It's
like
a way of looking at it.
it's not like blue white control when it's just like how, or lantern control when it's like, how long is this going to take? If lantern control, I'm just going to go to time. I don't care.
That's true. I mean, when I play against blue white control, I know when I've lost, so
Yeah.
I concede. So
Yeah, and that's my philosophy, like, sort of, you know, going off topic here a little bit. That's also my philosophy with Commander as well. Like, I'm a combo player, and like Eric, you're also you like to play combos.
I do like to play some combos.
And there's nothing wrong with playing combos.
Yeah.
It's nice to have. I like to have a way to just end the game if I want to, or if I need to, or if I can.
Yeah.
And I would prefer, if you know, I think, you know, a part of the player base rails against combos, but what I like is that it's fast. Right? Like, I kind of rail against stacks, but it takes a long time.
Sure,
I'm not really
yeah.
doing anything. Like, I just want to play Magic. You know, I don't want to sit there and
do
decide what
nothing.
I'm going to get to untap.
Yeah.
yeah.
But anyways, that's just my little my little defense for playing
Tron.
You know, Tron.
Yeah, and decks like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with, like, that being said, I don't, you know, whatever deck you want to play.
There's still tons of decks you don't like to play against. But
For
also,
sure.
like, Modern is
Yeah.
such a large format that there's so many decks out there that you can definitely play against a lot of decks.
Especially now, I think, where with the Oko,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going to happen, but
But
it
other
does
than
seem
that-
a very diverse
Yeah.
form. I think it's the best it's been in years, and I followed Modern for a long time before I started actively playing.
Yeah. I still think Modern is a format where you can to a degree play what you want to play.
I agree.
Yeah.
You can't play your it is untrue, or it is true that you can't play your standard deck in this format.
It's just too slow.
Exactly. But you can, for the most part, play what you want to play. So
Yeah, like I would love to try out the mono white Stoneforge Mystic Colossal Hammer deck with
Yeah.
Sigarda's Aid. Like, that deck seems super fun, and it seems like it could, you know, win games.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. There was even just having Sigarda's Aid and like a double strike minion. You can get that hammer out and like have turn 2, turn 3 wins with a mono white deck with the hammer, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, or you could do a Boros thing with all
Yeah.
the, you know, all the equipment matters Boros, or like the Boros. There's a couple cycles of Boros creatures that are that just cost Boros and that have double strike.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And that's also a really interesting part, is that people always think that Modern is very expensive. And so if you're going to go play in like a high-end tournament where there's a top-tier meta, yes, that can be expensive to play in, but Modern in general actually has a lot of budget options for cards. And you can play some pretty powerful decks around the like $200
yeah,
or a
one to
little less.
$200.
Yeah, $100 to $200 range.
For
There's
sure.
totally playable decks there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also something you can like work towards.
Yeah.
Right. You know, like we've all been, like, you know, I remember when I got my first fetch land.
Totally.
I was like,
This is cool.
yeah, this is a big deal.
Yeah, like when I was playing my Dragons deck, I bought a playset of Wooded Foothills.
Yeah.
They were like $8 each. I was
Yeah.
like, this
Ooh,
is
standard,
that's expensive
nice.
for a land.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then I believe they were all the
the
cons ones were about $25 for like years.
Yeah,
They were all just sitting out, and I picked up all my play sets. So
it was a good time.
yeah.
Yeah.
But and that's the thing too, though, is yeah, it's expensive, but you just have to buy these cards once, and then you're set.
That is a huge appeal to, I think, all of us.
Yeah.
That's why Commander is an appeal. That's why Eternal formats are so appealing.
Because you can just buy these cards and you can use them forever. Yeah,
They never rotate.
Yeah.
unless they're too powerful and get banned, which is very rare. But yeah,
Yeah. And if you invest in decently powerful cards, they're gonna last.
Yeah, and you know, if you invest in lands, you know, shock lands, fetch lands, fast lands,
Yeah.
they'll always, unless they print something better than a fetch land or a shock land. I don't know
think-
what that is.
yeah,
You
too
know.
powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rylan, we had the beginning of your story about playing Eldrazi Tron and Bant, Eldrazi. Was it just
Bant Eldrazi.
Yeah, Bant Eldrazi. Thank you.
Yep.
Where did you end up going after the whole Bant Eldrazi deck?
Well, after Bant Eldrazi, I moved into the Bant Spirits deck, which is where I've been for probably, I think it's about almost 3 years now. It's getting on about 3 years now. I've been playing that deck, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
You were playing it before it was cool.
Yeah, I was playing it. It was
before Supreme Phantom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good deck. Spell Queller is a great card. Being able to respond to a threat or just basically respond to your opponent's spells, and then getting a threat that you can then pressure them with is really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really good tempo play.
Yep, and it has ways to protect it once it's on the battlefield. And a cool interaction is once Oko makes it an elk, you don't lose the spell. The spell stays under it. So you just keep attacking with it.
Nice.
It's good anti-Oko text.
Yep. And when it dies, they don't get the spell back either. It loses that ability.
It's an ability.
Got
That's good.
Yeah.
What's that green card that makes that deck so good?
Oh, yeah, Collected Company.
Ooh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a Collected Company deck with Noble Hierarchs. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
There's definitely been times where you Coco and then you throw down 2 Drogsoul captains, and I'm like, well, I scoop. It's like,
next game.
You can't do much about that. Like,
yeah, Collected Company is a great card. I think it's getting a little bit slow for the current format. I mean, Modern has definitely sped up, I would say, quite a bit in the last couple of years.
yeah.
So it's, I would say it doesn't feel as good as it did a year or two ago, but it's still a very powerful card.
Yeah. All right. I myself, after that whole first iteration of a dragon deck,
That's right. How the mighty have fallen.
just couldn't do it. Was it Modern Masters 2017?
That was the
Yeah,
reprint
that
of
was
the
the-
Zendikar fetches.
Yeah, and that was like the best reprint.
That was the
set
best,
we ever
yeah.
got.
But once that set hit, one of my favorite Magic cards was reprinted.
Snappy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was also a lot of cards in that set reprinted for Grixis Death Shadow. So that's when I decided to, you know what? I'm into Modern. I'm playing Grixis Death Shadow. Mm-hmm. So I got it. I got my Death Shadows then because they were reprinted. The Cycler, whatever the hell it is.
Street Wraith.
Street Wraith. Oh
Yeah.
boy. Yeah, Street Wraith, of course, Snapcaster. All great. And then the other creatures aren't too expensive, so that wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
I already had some Thoughtseizes and stuff, so...
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was just the Scalding Tarns.
It was definitely an interesting deck to go into playing Modern with. I had a lot of problems starting out because that deck is difficult to manage your health.
It is. It is difficult to pilot, and it is counterintuitive to what we're trying to do when we play Magic, which is
stay alive.
Stay alive.
Yeah.
So it is I think it would be a really good learning experience for all Magic players to play Grixis Death Shadow.
Yeah. But it was definitely very interesting because there's a lot of interactions as well, like when you want to crack your fetch land and stuff. That just
It just takes practice.
Yeah, it was a learning curve, but it's a really fun deck. I do quite like that deck. It can be very explosive.
Mm-hmm.
The deck also has a lot of weird interactions where if you take damage while blocking, so like your Death Shadow can grow to stay alive.
Yeah.
So you.
Yeah.
It's a very fun deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So from there, I just want to talk a little bit kind of about... We talked about how Modern looked when we were getting into it. Really diverse format, lots of fun, lots of like different decks.
Yeah.
So seeing some other top decks just from a couple of GPs, I just want to name some other stuff kind of just to get a feel for what the format was looking like.
Right.
There were some unfun decks, like some people don't like Boggles.
Well, I think it's just because it's hard to deal with, right?
It's one of those hard to deal with decks.
Yeah.
You're just playing little creatures that you can't interact with, pump them up with enchantments, and get in there. So that deck has definitely seen some wins in like 2018 Toronto and stuff. Also, Burn has always been a deck in the Modern meta and everywhere. Red deck wins.
Yeah.
Burn's always fun, just face damage.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a lot of fun. It's also gotten a lot better with the the inclusion of Sunbay Canyon. That card is very good in this deck, and everyone's running forward. They're now even running one or two of the Fiery Islet just to get another one of this effect. This effect is really good for this deck.
Exactly. Yeah, because you need like 2 lands.
Yeah, it helps you not flood out. when you start drawing these, you just start sacrificing them.
Exactly.
Oh, totally.
Sometimes all you need is an extra burn, 1 or 2 burn spells.
That's right. Yep.
Also, a fun deck that kind of saw a little bit was like Jeskai Control, because that kind of had more of like a burn aspect to it.
Yeah. Yes. For sure.
Yeah, so that one would kind of like, you're playing burn spells and snappy, and you're just trying to do face damage and stay alive with counter spells, so.
Yeah.
What's the Titan Shift?
Yeah.
There's another deck that's been around for a bit.
Yeah.
That deck has a lot of good matchups because you're just winning with lands pretty much, and
Yeah.
Valakut. So Valakut is a land, if you have 3 or more mountains, when a mountain enters, you deal 3 damage.
Yep.
I think that's how that reads.
Does it? Does it have that stipulation of 3 or more mountains?
Or is it? Or is it like 4 or 5?
When a mountain enters the battlefield under your control, if you control at least 5 other mountains,
So
Oh, wow.
you may
Okay.
have Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle, deal 3 damage to target creature or player.
What makes that card broken though is it's not legendary, so you can have multiple Valakuts,
Yep.
and then you start multiple lightning bolting your opponent.
That's right. Yeah.
And the deck uses Primeval Titan as the way to bring out the Valakuts, and then of course more lands.
Yeah.
And you get Primeval Titan out with Summoner's Pact.
Yeah, and in like a mono red, or well, specifically a mono red commander deck, you're really never wrong to run Valakut. Just saying.
Yeah, like why not?
Yeah. It enters tapped.
It enters
but
tapped.
It's not. It's usually not a big deal.
Yeah,
I don't usually advocate for tap lands, but
you don't.
in this scenario, it's fine.
Moving
anyways.
along a little bit in 2018, we did see the rise of a deck called KCI, or
Yeah,
Card
the-
Clan Ironworks.
The rise and fall.
Rise and fall of this
Yeah.
deck. So this is kind of an egg style deck, which means you're playing a bunch of like 0/1 mana cost artifacts. And just by playing these, you end up like killing your opponent with milling them out using Crack Clan
Ironworks.
Crack Clan Ironworks. Where is...
Yeah, it was a very unfun deck to play against. Very
Super
hard to
unfun.
interact with.
Yeah.
Because that ability, you can't stop it because of
It's a
the
mana ability.
And it had some very weird interactions on the stack and stuff as well. It's a very tough card to deal with.
And that's also when Ancient Stirrings people started getting really annoyed with because it was so good in this deck.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this is one of those cases where they're like, you know what? Just ban Crack Clan.
Yeah.
Get it out
Yeah,
of here.
we all thought that Ancient Stirrings might get banned.
Yeah.
I sort of always feel that way. I'm a little worried it's going to get banned, but it hasn't been getting that kind of attention lately.
Yeah. I was surprised. I was honestly surprised that all of a sudden Faithless Looting got all this flack. People kind of grumbled about it, and I honestly, I never thought it was that
I
unfair.
was surprised that it was banned also.
And I mean, I think the reason why it got banned is because once you remove Hogak, then the Phoenix deck once again becomes the best deck, and it kind of was the best deck in the format for a while. But I don't know, was it really that degenerate?
And it wasn't that difficult to deal with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you shut the graveyard down, and then they have a hard time. But yeah, I was honestly surprised that kind of all this flack came out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden it got banned. That was kind of sudden.
Yeah, and I when that banning did happen, I understand why.
Yep.
Faithless Looting was a very good card for 1 mana. It would let you do a lot of things.
Yep.
Because it would also help out a deck called Dredge, which we haven't talked about yet. Dredge just throws cards into the graveyard, and
Yeah, and Dredge has always been good.
Dredge has always
Since
been
Modern's
good.
inception.
Yeah, and we also saw Golgari Great Troll unbanned and then
And then
rebanned.
rebanned.
That's right. Yeah.
That was the only one so far that's been unbanned.
I believe so.
I think so, yeah. That was the one where they're like, whoops, okay, Dredge, as a
Alright.
mechanic.
We just wanted to see. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's overpowered.
On top of seeing KCI, there was also, we had a card from
Hour of Devastation.
Hours of Devastation, the Hollow one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did see the Hollow One deck. I forgot about that deck.
Yeah, Hollow one was...
I think we all forgot about that deck.
Yeah. Didn't want to remember that.
It was a bit of a nuisance, but honestly, it wasn't that. It wasn't too. It wasn't very consistent.
Yeah, and it
It's more of
didn't.
an RNG
Yeah,
deck.
and it didn't
Yeah.
shift the format.
No.
Was that the deck that read that spell where each person draws a bunch
Yes.
of the goblin something, that goblin lore or something? Is that
Yeah,
what it
so
was?
we
Yeah,
have,
that
we
was
have,
hilarious.
we have a couple cards like that. So there's Burning Inquiry for 1 red. Each player draws 3 cards, then discards 3 cards at random. And then Goblin lore is just draw 4 cards, then discard 3 cards at random.
I did
So
like
Burning Inquiry hits the opponent as well.
That's the one. I did like Burning Inquiry. I thought it was fun on coverage watching people Burning Inquiry, and I thought it was
So the ridiculous stuff that people would discard, like
though it would suck though when you started discarding your lands and then your hand is unplayable after a Burning Inquiry. But it's RNG. I
Yeah.
honestly can't like. It's not like you're getting Thoughtseize.
No, and
That's fair, yeah.
and cards like that are too high variance for me to play.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
You know, just personally.
And it's
Not
symmetrical,
my
so I
thing.
feel like it makes it a bit more fair.
Yeah.
So
sure, yeah.
I like the symmetrical effects. Symmetrical effects can be fun, and it definitely makes them more fair. Like that new spell or that new fairy they printed in Eldraine with all those symmetrical effects on it. I think it makes it a lot more interesting.
Oh yeah, Rankle.
Yeah, Rankle.
Yeah,
Because you have to
yeah.
think about it like, all these effects are pretty good, but they're all symmetrical. So you have to think about that when you're
For sure.
choosing them.
For sure.
Moving on to 2019, around the early parts of 2019, I like to kind of call this like the graveyard year, because this is where we have seen Is It Phoenix printed and come to rise.
Yeah, the Graveyard Winter.
Yeah, Dredge has also really become big. So, like, for example, GP Las Vegas 2019, 1 is Phoenix, 4th is Dredge, 8th place we have ties with Dredge and Phoenix as well. So we have a lot of, like, 4 of the top 8 decks just playing graveyards and stuff. And then we have a bunch of them down past that as well. Phoenix, I could definitely see having like a lot of. This was where Faithless Looting was really good. We'd see Phoenix come out. You could have like 3 Phoenixes out on like turn 2, or was it turn 3?
No, I think you
Yeah, on turn 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 9 haste flying damage on turn 2. It's not really fun to be on the other end of something like that.
No, and it's
No.
hard to come back from it because then they still have 9 power flying on the next turn.
Yeah.
And not a lot of decks can put up 1 flyer, let alone 3 to block that. And you're probably close to dead because you've already fetched and shocked.
Yep.
So you've already bolted yourself once.
You've already bolted yourself once. 2
And-
swings of those Phoenixes, you're gone.
And you probably need to fetch and shock, or at least fetch to try and get on the board.
Right.
To
So
play,
you're-
get your lands to play something to. So yeah, very unfun to play against this deck at times. Moving on from that,
Yeah, pretty much any time it was doing well, it was fun to play against.
yeah, and like that deck can get pretty good land or hands a lot because then it just play a lot of cantrip spells
Exactly.
too.
Yeah.
Faithless Looting, Opt,
Yeah, Opt being legal.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
just smooth things out.
There's like the 2 mana red spells where it's like discard, draw 2, Tormenting Voice and stuff. They run those cards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a very powerful deck. Very fast.
very very fast.
Yeah.
And this is when the format started getting very fast, and like I think I started playing like a little bit less modern because of how this was kind of happening.
Right.
And then we had just this year. It was really cool. The first time they decided to make a set just for modern.
Yeah, Modern Horizons.
Modern Horizons came out. And with Modern Horizons came a card named Hogak.
Yeah. Arisen Necropolis.
Yeah. So this card right away spawned a deck which used Bridge from Below.
Yeah.
And it would just create a bunch of zombies from all the stuff from in your graveyard, and that's like it. You were able to play this giant 7/8 or 8/8 trampler on like turn 2. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what are you gonna do with that? And then if you remove it, it's still coming back no matter what.
Yep.
Yeah. And you're making all these zombies and stuff. So WotC obviously saw a problem with this and did an emergency banning right away to get rid of Bridge to hopefully tie it down.
Was that an emergency banning?
Was it like
I don't remember. Anyways, it's not super important whether or not it was an
I
emergency
can't remember if there was a
banning.
planned one or if it was an emergency one, or was the Hogak itself?
I think the Hogak was
I think the Hogak was planned.
Yeah.
I don't
think it was the
remember.
regular announcements.
Okay,
I think
yeah.
both of them were regular announcements.
Cool, sure.
A Bridge from Below should never have been printed in the first place. That card is pretty broken.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Yeah,
for sure.
the Bridge from Below being banned still didn't stop Hogak from dominating.
Yeah.
And the next Pro Tours and such, we had
It was almost 50%.
50%. Hogak had more than a 50% win rate. More than 50% of the decks were Hogak.
Yeah.
We had a Hogak Modern.
People were main decking side or graveyard.
Yeah, like
graveyard
Leyline of the Void.
Yeah.
Main
Yeah.
decking Leyline of the Voids
And,
to combat this stuff.
Yeah, I missed that whole thing. Like, I wasn't even playing Modern then. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I still went to a tournament at the tail end of that, and funny enough, I was prepared for Hogak, and I didn't go against a single Hogak deck. Even from the about 70 players, at least I think 10 of them were playing Hogak. Sometimes you just don't.
Yeah, and that was something that we were kind of talking about before the show, where I feel like that our local meta isn't really in line with the competitive meta. Like if you look at MTG Top 8 or MTG Goldfish and tournament results, it doesn't really line up with, because like I don't feel like I've played against anyone playing Urza Oko or even like an Urza deck, right?
Oh,
and
okay.
Urza was very popular,
Yeah.
with the release of Modern Horizons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I myself took a hiatus for a couple months and came back, and all the players are still playing the same deck. There's one or two players who have a large collection and they play a few different decks, but they were still playing decks similar to what they played a few months back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it all just depends on what people have and what they like to play.
Exactly. And, I think once you find a deck that you like, you might make changes to it here and there, like with the release of a card, but you kind of just like to stick with that deck, and if it works, you just keep playing it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Also, a part of that I think is, we've touched on this before, Modern does have such like for a lot of fun decks, like a higher price tag if you want to play at the higher tier. And so it also can be difficult to play multiple decks because you just don't have the runway.
Yeah, especially if they're completely different colors. Like I've thought about maybe playing like Eldrazi Tron in Modern because I have a lot of the same cards.
So it's easy to kind of like go over to this other kind of deck.
Exactly, but for me to play Grixis Death Shadow, that's very expensive.
You need to get all those fetch lands and stuff. and, like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you only need like 4 or 5 cards, and you're looking at $500 or $600.
Exactly. Yes.
That can happen.
Yeah. Chase the Mind Sculptor right now is like nearing $200. So
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to play some Control. Let's
yeah.
No thanks. No, I don't want to go to time
Sure, yeah.
every game.
Yeah.
It's not a great tournament deck.
No.
No.
So, because of this, we did see, as we were talking about before, right after that tournament, Hogak ended up getting banned out of the format, which is healthy. And along with Hogak,
Yeah, Faithless Looting
Faithless Looting
was banned.
Which leaves us with the Urza deck.
at the moment, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, the like we said earlier, the tournament results from
SCG Open Atlanta. 4 Urza decks. Or 3? 4.
4.
4.
Yeah, 4.
And that's because of good old Oko.
Yeah, and they're running 4 Gilded Gooses.
Look at that.
Yeah, can't go wrong. But Death Shadow first place.
Yeah,
Hey.
actually,
Grixis Death Shadow.
pretty good in that deck because it makes an artifact, helps enable your Mox Opal.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, I never thought
Tap
of
the Mox,
Opal thing.
sacrifice the food for mana.
Dang.
That's real good.
Real good, yeah. And a lot of the things that like would stop the Urza deck, you can just turn it into a elk.
Also, Emery, Lurker of the Lock, is very good.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's another card that got
Very good.
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, Urza spawned its own deck from Modern Horizons, and then Eldraine has added a lot of pieces to that deck, actually, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
out of nowhere, how this archetype wasn't even around. Modern Horizons, boom, we have the flagship card for what this deck is called, and then we have another standard set, which just adds a bunch more power to the deck.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I think that being said, a lot of us kind of stopped playing as much Modern, and now we feel the format is a little more diverse again. It's not like a turn 2 format is what it was turning into.
Yeah, you just had to play. I just need to be faster than Phoenix or Dredge or Hogak. Yeah. So
I
think
needed
it has
to-
gotten a lot better.
I was running more Graveyard Hate. I was like, if I just draw my Graveyard Hate, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
You know? You don't have to worry about running main deck Graveyard Hate in Modern anymore.
Yeah.
Definitely have sideboard.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, and even with your like your version of Death Shadow now, Eric, you have quite a few pieces from Modern Horizons in it. Like you're running, is it what's the new Pyromancer?
Seasoned Pyromancer.
Seasoned Pyromancer, and you're also running. Is it Unearth? That's modern legal now.
So I had a when I was playing a Mardu Death Shadow deck, and I was using Seasoned Pyromancer and
Monastery Swiftspear.
no
Monastery.
The white guy that tutors a 1-drop.
Ranger Captain of Eos.
Yeah, Ranger Captain of Eos. So I was trying out those cards. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
And that was when I went and did that tournament when there was the Hogak deck running around.
Yeah, and that deck, like that sort of deck archetype was seeing tournament play.
Yeah, it actually was. There was a Lightning Skelemental deck, and then there was also a Mardu, like, kind of Death Shadow deck.
Skelemental sucks.
Yeah.
Like, to get hit with, it's a great card.
I definitely had fun hitting people with that. I definitely noticed that card was quite good. People hated it.
Yeah, you have to discard 2 cards, right?
2 cards.
Yeah, just 2 for winning people.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's bad.
Ooh, yeah. It was fun.
Yeah, for sure. And
but I've since moved away into trying out a Sultai build with blue, green, black.
Right.
Yeah. Unearth is a pretty cool card. I do quite like that card from Modern Horizons.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 black, bring back 3 or less CMC creature.
Yeah. And if you need to cycle it, you can cycle it.
You can cycle it away. But it brings back Death Shadow, brings back Tarmogoyf, brings back Snapcaster Mage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, are you not running? You're running Traverse Owenwald in that deck too, are you not?
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
Ways to tutor out creatures as well.
Yeah. And Snapcaster with that's pretty good. So yeah, it's got some good value in that deck.
Snapcaster in the graveyard, you unearth Snapcaster, Snap comes back. You can then hit a removal spell, Fatal Push, Traverse. Yeah.
Possibilities are endless.
Yeah, close to it.
So other than those, like talking about Modern Horizons a little bit, what else do you feel that Modern Horizons kind of like brought to the format? Minus, let's talk about Ren 6. Obviously, that is a bomb card.
For sure.
Jund has seen a lot of play now because Ren 6 is just holy crap good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, which is exactly what you said when we reviewed the set.
I should have bought some.
Yeah, you should have.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, as far as like what I see being played in Modern, I don't know, because like I said, I haven't seen the Urza deck. I don't know that there's a ton of Modern Horizons that I see floating around.
Yeah.
I know that like Arkham's Astrolabe was very popular in Pauper.
Oh, totally.
And then it got banned.
Yeah.
So that's over. But like I was saying with Unearth, like that is an extremely powerful card, and I didn't even realize how powerful it was until I saw what you could do with it.
In certain decks, it can be pretty good.
Decks, exactly. Yeah, and with all because it cares about converted mana cost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in Modern, a format where it's 1, 2, and 3, your curve usually doesn't go much higher than that.
Mm-hmm.
That is an extremely powerful card.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Horizons?
I think
Rylan?
I think the most universally powerful cards would probably be the Horizon lands.
Yes.
Absolutely.
They're in almost any deck that can run them. So, and I think people are anxiously waiting the last 4. So
exactly.
Totally.
Yeah. The other allied ones.
yeah.
One other thing I want to say, so before when we were talking about this set, we were kind of saying it's more of a Commander Masters compared to it being like a Modern. When it first came out, a lot of people were brewing with the cards, and then so there were people coming back being like, no, this is a Modern set.
Yeah.
Now that the dust has settled, I still have to say that there is very little cards in a Modern-centric set that has actually affected Modern.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think they try to be careful.
Yeah.
Just like the way that they try to be careful with a standard set. They don't want to make it too powerful. And, when they make standard cards too powerful, like Oko, they see play in these eternal formats that play with cards that are far more powerful than what you see in standard.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they try to avoid that as much as possible. And maybe a bit of that was peppered into Modern Horizons. They didn't want to sort of ruin the Modern meta with just like here's a couple of
many.
new decks that
Yeah.
are just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it just kind of lends to the fact that they now want Modern to be the new Legacy. So I think they're going to start doing this more, where they start to just slowly put some of the what they think are the best Legacy cards, because they really want Modern now to be Legacy without the reserve list, because that's kind of where they're doing it. Because they've already, with the border at being 8th edition, there's no reserve list cards in this format.
Yeah.
And they've said that they're not going to reprint the fetch lands in any Modern Horizon sets, but they can still do functional reprints of cards. You could do a functional reprint of the fetch lands, and I was talking to somebody about this, and it's not really a good idea, because that would just make the mana bases that much more consistent. Think about Death Shadow. If you were able to run a playset of fetch lands for each other color pair. Right? An additional one.
Yeah.
That's
too much.
So I don't know how we deal with the price of that part of mana bases, because I think that is something that is a real issue.
I think it is a real issue, and the only thing they need to have they actually totally said that they're never going to reprint fetch lands again?
They said that they wouldn't when Modern Horizons was being released and announced. They said they would not reprint fetch lands in Modern Horizons. I don't know if they said categorically they wouldn't reprint them.
Sure, yeah.
But I can't exactly remember. I have to look into it.
Yeah. Well, I think also too we have to give them credit in the sense that they say that they say that they're not watching the secondary market, but realistically they
of course
100% know what's going on. And
they have to.
And I'm pretty sure what they're doing is they're aware of the fetch cards, the fetch lands, for example, and they hit them with a reprint, so they're waiting for them to get back to a really good price where when they reprint them, they're still going to be worth
they won't get
$70 or
hit so hard.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
because they want them to sell booster packs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they want to have cards that are chase cards that people are going after.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I think already the fetch lines are getting to that point where they're like Scalding Tarn
it's over
US
$100, right?
is over $100.
Yeah, I believe it's 120 Canadian or so.
And I think the lowest it got when it was reprinted in 2017 was maybe under $40. I think I bought one for around.
I think Canadian I got one for around 50 or 60.
Yeah, I think they were around. Well, when I pulled mine, it was worth 60 or 70 or something like that. I think so.
Yeah,
because I pulled mine a little bit after the reprint.
Yeah.
So. But
no, they didn't. It didn't stay low for very long.
No.
I picked up a few right.
But even the other
week
ones
after the
now
set.
have gone up. I believe Verdant Catacombs is almost $100
Yeah.
Canadian.
Oh yeah.
it is.
Yeah. No. All the
I wanted to buy one the other day.
blue ones.
And that's green black and
Misty
then
Rainforest.
Misty Rainforest is about $100.
Yeah.
And then the white, black, and white red are always the cheapest, but I think those are still around $60 to $70 too.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah, Arid
So-
Mesa, and
So it's expensive to get into
Silent
Modern.
Green.
That's the thing though, you just have to wait. There will be reprints eventually. None of these cards are on the reserve list, so that's the one thing that we know.
No, they're all on
So,
the block for reprints.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we might have to wait a year or two still, but they'll get reprinted. And you just have to wait. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm not buying any Scalding Tarns until the next reprint.
No,
so.
and they're gonna do something. When is
Yeah.
this episode gonna come out? This is gonna be this is gonna be a couple weeks, so middle of November. With Eternal Ultimate Masters last year, that was all of a sudden people were getting their box toppers in lieu of not getting their Mythic editions.
right.
And we're like, what are these cards? And it
Yeah.
turns out they came in every box of Ultimate Masters, and we got Ultimate Masters, which was a fantastic set. I don't think anyone can argue with that. But they're gonna do something like that. They're not gonna release a set. They're not gonna release anything from now until from when Eldraine came out until Theros Beyond Death at the end of January. Come on.
Oh, we're gonna get.
They're gonna do.
Like,
They're gonna do some kind of reprint set in December.
I think something that people have also been talking about because Pioneer was just announced. There's probably gonna be a November set. Maybe it'll be some Pioneer focused set that they kind of maybe put together.
Maybe. Sure. Well, we'll see. I'm sure there's gonna regardless of what it is, I'm sure there's gonna be something.
They always have something.
They always have something.
Yeah.
It's Christmas.
Yeah, they want to sell stuff.
Yeah, buy.
They want money.
Oh yeah, no, and they've had this product hype train going for so long. We can't stop now.
No, yeah.
We can't stop. We can't wait till the end of January.
Yeah.
Well, we already got spoilers, so I mean.
We did. We did get some leaks.
That was a real
For sure.
accident. But
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? So, Eric, you wanted to talk a bit about coverage? Did you?
Yeah, this was this is why I texted you earlier, because like I had trouble looking up this stuff.
Yeah.
Do you remember any stuff, or can you like talk a lot on this subject
Oh, I don't
about like getting into Pro Tour and stuff like that, or?
I know that it's now the Players Tour, and there's supposed to be like regional qualifiers. So, for example, our local store, Fusion, should be able to hold. They're big enough; they should be able to host one. I'm not sure if they. I know Face to Face has held one recently, or they're holding one soon in like Toronto and Montreal.
Okay. Yeah.
So there are qualifiers, but I think we do have the. You can probably find it on Wizard's site, but I think they have announced when the first Players Tour will be, and there are qualifiers starting to happen. But I don't believe there's any in Winnipeg, in our local city. So.
Yeah,
So
we might
like
be too small.
Before, like,
But
that's
there will
like,
be eventually, because they are. It's still a slow rollout. This is the
Right.
first year of this new program,
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait a year or two before we see one.
So it's like 2 years ago. Like, how do things work?
Well, there used to be there was like a regional qualifier that fed. Well, you had one qualifier that was like a local one that fed like a regional one that then fed the Pro Tour. It was pretty cut and dry. But now it's a little bit more convoluted.
So like before, we had this path of like, hey, we can go play here, and then if you keep winning, you can kind of like end up getting into the Pro Tour,
Right.
Which was cool because you kind of felt like you could get somewhere and keep playing these tournaments, win prize money.
Yeah, and keep
Yeah, you had a PPTQ. Now, yeah, PPTQ, your preliminary Pro Tour qualifier, which fed regional Pro Tour qualifiers, which fed the Pro
RPTQ.
Tour.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cut and dry. Now it's a little bit more convoluted, but I believe they're trying to get back to a similar kind of route to the Players Tour, which then feeds all these Mythic Championships and qualifiers.
Because there was a period of time when like Arena first came out and they had their first Mythic Championship. They then were like, we're gonna do like invite stuff, and like it was very up in the air. Like I don't know how to get points. I don't know how to play Magic and go to play in these tournaments to be like a pro Magic player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now there's going to be this Rivals League and a few other leagues and things, and then you kind of battle it out for the top seats. But
and didn't we even see some pro players like say, "Hey, we're not playing anymore" around that time?
yeah, there was a few. Jerry Thompson
Yeah.
dropped out. He was, I believe, offered a contract to play Magic, and he turned it down because it wasn't very clear, and there was. They were obligated to stream, and some people aren't good streamers, and they didn't want to stream. They just wanted to do the
Sure, of course.
going to different
That's a
tournaments.
totally different. It's completely different what you're doing when you're streaming versus sitting and playing in a match that's being televised.
And some streamers don't want to go play the tournaments because they make more money just sitting and streaming.
Of course,
and it's a
in their homes.
guaranteed exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a guaranteed income because I'll sit here. I know I'm going to have X amount of viewers instead of going and gambling that I might win this cash prize of $100 or
and paying for travel and everything. Yeah, like, I don't want to leave the house.
Yeah. Well, and it's not only that, but it's 3 or 4 days. You're not going there for one day. You're going there for 3 or 4 days. So that's 3
Hotel,
or 4 days.
food.
Exactly. Of streaming that you're not doing.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's very good point.
And I think that's also where it baffles me, but then you can just see where higher ups at companies just don't see things as cut and dry. And it's just like a pro player for Magic is not a streamer. Mm-hmm. And a streamer is not technically a pro player. Like they can be those things.
Sure.
But
like a Brian Keebler.
Yeah.
He is both.
He's both, right?
But
because he's streamed before and he knows how to like, always be a very good icon for chat and stuff. So
but like most people, their strengths lie in sort of one specific arena.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that makes complete sense.
Yeah, for sure. So it's nice to see that we are now getting something out of them because it was so up in the air. And like this is something that helps. Wizards has always had Magic to be this kind of like we always had a pro scene, and to be so up in the air, I understand that we are going through a change in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it was still like this is a piece of Magic that like we didn't kind of have for a little bit, and kind of like
It sort of delegitimized it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that when I first got into Magic that really pulled me into the game was the fact that it actually had a real pro scene. I couldn't believe it. I mean, at this time, I got into Magic about 4 years ago now, almost 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
And at the time, esports was still emerging.
Yeah.
Esports is still an emerging thing. It's very big now, but like 5 years ago, it was still streaming was still becoming popular.
Yeah.
And
We had the first like Dota internationals and stuff.
yeah. And Magic was the original. They were like the original esport, and then they kind of axed everything and tried to start fresh with Arena, and I'm confused as to why they kind of stopped with what was working.
Yeah.
This was working. A lot of people were watching. It was really, we had good coverage, and they kept like improving upon that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and then they just kind of.
And people got on the cover, like they said that the coverage for GPs was bad and stuff, but I don't know. People complain now we don't have it anymore, which is one thing that's kind of frustrating because I miss the weekly GP coverage where
Me
you
too.
could watch Modern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. Totally. Yeah, for sure. Well, I think we're going to bring this episode to a close.
Sounds good. Good talk about Pioneer, Modern.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
So just a few things before we wrap things up. We are going to be launching a Patreon campaign at the beginning of December.
Yeah.
Coming up. So that's in a little while. We just wanted to let the listeners know. We'll have a link to that if you want to check it out once we do launch, and we'll let you guys know. We just didn't want to be like, okay, we have a Patreon now.
It's coming. It'll be up beginning of December. It's on the horizon of Modern.
Yeah, it's on the Modern. Yeah, I see what you did there. So so the show is always it's still going to be free. The show is always going to be free, and what we're going to do with the Patreon with the financial support is just create more content.
Yeah.
And we're also very excited about some Patreon exclusive giveaways we're going to be doing, and we all this is going to be on our Patreon page, and you if you're interested, you can check that out when the time comes.
So please go check it out.
Yeah, and we will keep you posted on that. As usual, if you want to get in touch with us, you can find us on Instagram at Turn One Soaring the Podcast. You can find me on Instagram at Command Beacon, and you can email us at turnonesoaringthepodcast@gmail.com. We are currently doing our November giveaway, which I sort of talked about at the top of the show, so I feel like I don't really need to now.
I think they get it.
Yeah, you can just you find the post on Instagram, you follow the details, and
Good to go.
I hope you win. And you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts, and we're on YouTube now too.
Oh,
so
cool.
Go check that out. I put us on YouTube, and all the links for that are on our SoundCloud page if you ever need to find that stuff.
Yeah.
And wherever you listen to us, just give us a rate and review.
We like to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, 5 stars, please.
As always.
If you're so inclined.
You know.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and again, Rylan, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for
coming
having
down.
me.
Yeah.
Hey,
All right.
what's your last thing? Favorite Star Wars film?
Favorite Star Wars film?
Oh, this is gonna be good.
Yeah. Just say one.
It had to be one of the originals, probably. I don't know. A New Hope is pretty good. Where it all began.
Yeah, New Hope is a good one. That's a solid choice.
Yeah, the
Solid
original,
choice, my
the
friend.
original scene where Darth Vader is boarding Princess Leia's shuttle.
The
is
ship. Yeah.
just fantastic.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And then when we see it a couple years later in full CGI, where he just goes ham, that was a pretty powerful moment.
That part was so good.
You guys talking about Rogue One?
Yeah, Rogue
Yeah.
One at the
Yeah.
end there. Yeah, where you see the beginning.
He
of
kills all those guys.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
good.
He puts that guy on the roof,
yeah.
the ceiling, and then just like,
Yeah.
just
Goodbye.
like cuts him from stem to sternum. Yeah,
So good.
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
very
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, because Darth Vader growing up was my guy. Yeah.
Love Darth Vader. Yeah, very cool. All right, well, thanks for listening, guys.
See y'all later.
Turn 1 Soul Ring.